Hey guys, welcome back to Angel Angela, and on this topic, I wanted to talk about how the empath's job, what your job is when you're dealing with a narcissist person. Your job is to feed their ego. That's what happens when you're around narcissistic people, whether it's a friend. She's going to want her ego boosted. She's going to want you to make her look good, feel good. She's going to want the benefits of, of that friendship. She's going to want some type of benefits from that. Just the simple thought of knowing that you're a good person and you'll be there for them, that you'll listen to them and boost their ego even if they're wrong, right? The narcissist will say the craziest things when you're with them in friendships, and a lot of times you don't know that they're even wearing a mask with you. You think, oh, that's just how they are, but you don't really understand that the root of who they are, their ego, who they are, is evil. So the narcissist, your job is to feed the narcissist's ego, which is their evil. So you have to feed the narcissist's evil. A lot of times you don't know you're feeding their evil because you don't even know that you're the new supply. A lot of times you don't know the people they left behind, the pain that they've caused to others. So you don't know that they're using you as a crutch. You don't know that, hey, they're moving on with you. They might be taking care of your family. They might get married with you, but you don't know that the reason they divorced their first wife is because of their infidelity problems. And you might think, hey, they're not going to do that to me. And it's feeding your ego because they probably got married. They bought a house. So you're not thinking that you're feeding their evil because they're using you to triangulate their own children when they might be taking care of your children better. Their past spas might be asking for help and they're denying that help, or having complications with just co-parenting and picking up the children. So you're feeding the narcissist evil because in the back of their head, everything that they're doing is to piss other people off, to make other people feel like they've moved on. They're like, hey, drop the kids at granny's house. I don't even want to deal with you or talk to you. I don't even want to co-parent with you. I want you to think that I only respect my children. I don't want nothing to do with you. I don't want to co-parent with you. And you might feel like you've even forgiven them, right? You're like, they're the ones who played me, right? I had to do what I had to do and leave. They're toxic. You might even, the years can go by, you might even forgive them, but they'll still be evil. And sometimes what they'll do is now they're discarding that new wife or something, and they feel like, okay, enough time has went by. Now they've befriended you. You're not asking them for child support or anything, so now, if they know that they've cheated and they've pissed this new person off and now they're asking for a divorce, and this person is like, has maybe had a child with them during that marriage, the narcissist feels like the cycle is going to repeat itself. Now they're going to want something from them, attention. Now they'll be able to triangulate this person with you. Oh, I get along with my ex-wife, my first wife. I knew them before you, so they know me better than you. Even if I was with you for a decade, they know me better than you. But that person forgot who the narcissist was because they forgave them and they've been getting a new version of them. But the narcissist has not changed because everyone is feeding the narcissist's ego, their evil, their mothers, their fathers, their friends, they're feeding the narcissist evil. The narcissist is telling half stories and people believe them. So you're going to be dealing with narcissists. You're going to realize that the narcissist feeds off of that. Like, that's fuel to them. So when you're in a relationship with them and you start figuring out that this person really isn't who you thought that they were, that they lie a lot, that they triangulate you, that they purposely try to make you jealous, that they don't have boundaries, they do things to instill pain or feelings of jealousy in you and things like that, and you're unbothered by it, you're just waiting for them to grow up from it, you'll notice that that's when the narcissist, they won't like you no more. You're expecting them to grow out of that evil behavior that they have even with you, where they're treating you like you're not even a real human being. And you'll see that once you stop feeding their ego, their delusions, their fake fantasy world, you'll see now they've turned on you. They're like, oh, you don't believe in my delusions, my fantasy way of thinking. Now you're the enemy, and all you could do is be telling them the truth. I had an incident once with the narcissist where he's talking about celebrity gossip, and he's like, oh, this couple, they're going to work out because they come from like the same neighborhood or whatever. I'm like, that doesn't mean anything. That doesn't mean anything. You know, I'm like a lot of these couples, a lot of these celebrity couples, they're not real. You know, I'm telling him about the real world. Like, things aren't what they seem like. Like, you can't be, not saying he was envious of anyone. It was more like, oh, this is going to work out, and you're looking like a hater because you're saying it's not going to work out. And my whole thing was, it wasn't that I'm wishing bad on someone. It was more of, I don't believe anything on the internet. I don't believe in people's I don't know them. That's where I was coming from. So I'm trying to explain to him, I'm like, you can't really believe none of these things. Some of these relationships, they're just, you know, it's business. So you don't really know what to believe. He snapped on me. I was driving. I was on the freeway, and he like yanked at the steering wheel and went like berserk. Like his demons were upset. Like, oh, I hate you, bitch. I hate you. How dare you say it? And it's like, how can you be like, when you talk to people who don't live in their ego, they can sit there and be like, oh, I can see why you say that. Yeah, you're right. You know, they look cute together, but yeah, you know, you're right. A lot of these relationships, you don't really know what to believe on the internet. You know what I'm saying? That's why you can't idolize. So there's people that can actually, you can speak to, and they can see different angles to different things, and you can talk to them. But when you're dealing with a narcissist, if they're stuck thinking a certain way, you're insulting their intelligence. And because they think they're better than you to begin with, now you're upsetting them. And now anything that you say that's logic seems like so far out and crazy. Like, how dare you say that this is what it is, when that's not what it is. You're a hater. You're this, you're that, right? So they'll make it seem like that. But these are like people that live in a fantasy world. So when you're dealing with a narcissist, whether you're at work, right? If you're at work, you could be dealing with someone really unintelligent, and they're showing you many ways that they're unintelligent. They might not have good customer service. They are not really a people's person. They could show you so many red flags. And you might not say anything, right? Because you're like, oh, I need this job. I'm not going to say anything. It's none of my business. I'm just here to get money and go home. The narcissist, and this is the thing, you'll be dealing with people that you're like, oh, these people want their ego like stroked, right? And their personalities are very completely different from yours. So if they feel like you're not feeding their ego like that, and that's your boss might fire you, right? Or if you're not flirting back with your boss, he might put you in the back line and say, oh, this person's not going to stick around very long. I'm going to triangulate her with other people at the job, with other women, with the older women, with the younger women. I'm going to triangulate this person and get them out of here because I don't really have a use for them, because they're not going to stroke my ego. When I come in the room, they don't look at me like a Prince Charming. They look at me like I'm a weasel and I'm a clown, and they can see right through me. So I don't like them. They can see right through me. But if you don't need your ego boosted, if you don't need your ego stroked by people, that shouldn't matter to you. You should be happy with the position you're in. You should be happy with the life, with your personal life. You shouldn't make this job your world. But it's like they want to show authority over you, power over you, and to them it's like, you have to stroke my ego. And that's why you got certain people that, they brown nose the boss. They flirt with the boss. They're willing to sell themselves out and act dumb themselves down and everything, to get ahead. And even if you try to do that, the narcissist can tell when you're not really impressed and you're faking it. So even then you lose, because they're like, oh, you're just feeding my ego because you want this job. And I could tell you're just someone who wants to work. You really want this job. So you're willing to take abuse from me. You're willing to take disrespect from me. But that's because you don't need your ego boosted. That's because you feel confident in yourself. And how can you feel confident in yourself when I'm better than you? I'm in a better position than you. So I'm better than you. So the confidence you're displaying is fake. It's fake. You're trying to work hard because you want your ego boosted. I don't have to work hard. I'm just myself, and people like me, and I got into this position because people love me. That's how delusional these people are. They'll think that you need your ego boosted, and that's why you're working hard and it's not working for you. They're like, you're working hard, but it's not working for you because I'm never going to give you that position you want. I'm going to give it to someone who ain't doing shit. I'm going to give it to someone out here who's ready to sleep with me. I'll give it to them before you because I know you really want it. And instilling hate, jealousy, or whatever, instilling bad feelings in you, that right there in itself is boosting my ego, because I feel like you're jealous of me. And that person could feel like worn out, their body physically. They're not jealous of this person. They don't care. They don't admire the position that they're in. They probably don't even want that kind of responsibility. So now the narcissist will be like, oh, you don't want that kind of responsibility? Oh, even though you're already working hard, now I'm going to make sure you break your back. I'm going to get to the point where you're going to just want to quit. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to use you anytime you don't come in on a day you're not supposed to work. Now I'm going to be mad at you for not coming in. Because you don't want this responsibility. Oh, so you want me under stress. You want me to be around here like a weasel looking to get my ego boosted. It's your fault that I'm constantly looking for validation. Matter of fact, it's your fault. Because I should be a regular worker like you because you're so calm. So maybe I need to go back to being you. You can't handle my position. And you know that you can handle it. Because you don't need your ego boosted by knowing you get to it. But they're not going to put you there. Because they already know you'll be a threat and you'll get rid of all the narcissists there. And you're going to realize that most of them is narcissists. Narcissists going to be out of a job because guess what? Everywhere you go, to the church, to your family, your parents, they want they want you to stroke their ego, make them look good. Any disappointments, anything, they start treating you like you a stranger, like you the enemy, instead of trying to help you because they're so worried about their own ego. So a lot of times you're going to run across people that are kind of like, why did you stick around with someone that was giving you clear signs that they don't respect a relationship, or they don't respect you, or they don't view relationships the same way that you do. Whatever the case is, when people tell you, or they wonder, or they haven't been through narcissist abuse, And they're questioning, it's not just the trauma bonding, because yeah, they bond with you with trauma, and sometimes they take you deep down the rabbit hole to where no one sees you the same. It's like you're living another reality and you can't get back to your old reality, and you just feel like, because no matter how many different realities and stages of hell you're going through, this person is right in front of you. They don't leave. So you mistake that with having a bond with them, but they're actually trying to destroy you, because this person's not, they're not helping you survive. They're sacrificing you. So people wonder, how can you be with someone who's sacrificing you and believe that there's a bond, or they care about you or love you? Or sometimes you feel like shit is so messed up in the relationship, or so many different things have happened and you were able to forgive, and you might look at, or certain people might look at you and judge, right? And you might look at them and feel like, well, you've never been in a real relationship. You might start thinking like that. You might start thinking like, maybe this is what relationships go through, the ups and downs. I think that's part of the relationship, is going through the ups and downs, but still loving one another at the end, or still having each other's backs. Or it's like you start to validate the toxicity. So certain people that have never been through that, they might not think it's normal. You might feel like, hey, you've never been in a real relationship, because it comes with good sides and bad sides. It's not always going to be good. But you don't realize that eventually it's more bad than good. That's what you don't realize, and that it's not healthy when it's more bad than good, because it's not healthy for your own sanity. And when you're dealing with a narcissist, they need their ego stroked so bad that they don't even care about messing with your mental health, like gaslighting you, denying stuff. They don't care how that's affecting your mental health. I'm just going to tell you. This is why some people go crazy. Some people snap. Some people kill their abusers. Some people do drugs, do what, turn to drinking, whatever the case is, because these people will drive you to that edge, all because they need their ego stroked. People are wondering, well, why didn't you leave? They're almost blaming you, right? That's just how I felt in the moment. Like when I look back, how people made me feel around that when I was at my worst, at my lowest. It's like they blamed me for accepting the abuse, right? And they couldn't understand why I would stay in it. And I would stay in it because of the trauma bond, because I felt there was a bond, because they wouldn't leave me alone. They would stalk me. They would go to my job. They would go to my house. They would leave notes on my car. They would send me flowers. They would do everything to keep me in their life. So you're thinking to yourself as an empath, what would keep me taking this type of abuse? The good parts. You try to hold on to the good parts. And you feel like the good parts, right? That's what you're holding on to. So when the narcissist is on their best behavior, you're almost like, okay, we're finally here, where how things are supposed to be, right? But now because you're looking forward for that love bomb so much, now you're analyzing the love bomb, and you're seeing that the love bomb is coming from a place of trying to excuse themselves from something they might be doing behind your back. The love bomb could be they're up to something, they're getting ready to discard you, and they just want you to get that high. You know what I'm saying? And they want to be able to lie to you, and they know that you believe their lies at this point. So their ego is inflated. They feel like, oh, I could play with you and love bomb you, and I know that you're just gonna be waiting. You're gonna be confused. You're gonna be crying. You're not gonna run to nobody else. And I'll be back. You just need to let me go. I'll be back. Because I still need you to stroke my ego, even though I have a new person stroking my ego, and that's why I'm disappearing. Because if the grass seems greener on the other side, I still don't want to put my cards down and lay my cards down on the table, because I might make the wrong move. And then I won't have nobody around to stroke my ego. So you got to ask yourself, people ask you all the time, Why did you stay? But they never ask the narcissist, why did they stay? And when they ask the narcissist, they make it seem like they cared about you and you're the problem, and they're like trying to gaslight you or triangulate you. They try to make themselves look like the victim, but you'll ask them, well, why did you stay? If this person's so horrible, why did you stay? And that's where the triangulation comes, because now they got their version of the story and you got your version of the story, and people are looking at it like, well, if it was toxic, both of you guys are responsible, because I mean, if the empath was so bad, why did you stick around? If you didn't like them, if you didn't like a whole bunch of these things, why did you stick around? The narcissist won't know how to answer. They'll say that, they thought you were going to change. They'll say, oh, I thought they were going to change. Everything that you're saying, they're saying about you. And you're sitting there crying, like pleading or in disbelief, even when they're making themselves the victim, because you're like, why didn't you just leave me the fuck alone? Like why would you play with someone's life and waste their time? And why would you keep a relationship going for years? And why would you do that to somebody when you know they wanted certain things out of their life? Why would you why would you go around people's realities, stealing their reality, taking them out of their reality, destroying their reality, killing their spirit? Why would you do that to somebody? To the narcissist, they'll say, oh, I didn't kill that person's spirit. Their spirit was already broken, because they should have left me alone if I was so bad. So now they don't believe that they were bad because they were around you. And that boosts their ego, because they're like, hey, I couldn't be this monster you claim that I am, because why would you stay with a monster? So that's where the gaslighting don't stop. That's why they won't take accountability. That's why they won't give you closure, because they're aware of what they're doing, but their ego is so inflated that they feel like you played yourself. A lot of times narcissists won't validate what you did for them, because in order to figure out who was the person narking it in the relationship, you would have to look at who lost the most, who went through the most and who lost the most, who benefited from this relationship the most, who had nothing to lose. So once you realize that, you'll know who was the abuser, and this is why the narcissist's ego won't validate what you've done for them. If anything, their ego is so inflated that they will feel like they were a gift to you, because they could have been with anyone. Just like you actually could have been with anyone, but they believe they were the prize. They were that desperate to have someone around to stroke their ego. Like how sometimes people say it's better to be alone than to be in bad company. The narcissist would rather be even in bad company, because they need even that bad company to stroke their ego. That's how desperate they are. That's why they were calling. That's why they were stalking. That's why they wouldn't let you go. That's why they were hoovering. It wasn't because they loved you. It's because they loved how you stroked their ego. But at the same time, they hate you because you're discovering who they are. So to them, it's like, anytime you stroke my ego, I know you really don't mean it, because you hate a part of me. You hate the things that I've done to you. You still haven't really truly forgiven me, and I'm really not going to stop. I just need you to feed my ego the way you used to, right? You're waiting for the narcissist to love you the way that they used to, at least how you thought they loved you. And they're waiting for you to start stroking their ego and look at them the way you used to view them. Now you don't view them as this knight in shining armor, because they're an abuser. They yell at you. They talk crazy to you. They're delusional. They think that, if anything, they make you look good, right? They're like, oh, I make you look good. Oh, all these women want me. All these, they don't realize that just like they might feel like you get attention and they're the ones that's giving you that attention by being with you, you're getting them attention from other people just by being with you as well. But in their mind, they're the center of attention of everything. They feel like when couples come up to you and talk to you, they're coming up to you because they're intrigued with the narcissist. They're this, it's like they're in a movie. They think that they're special. When they see that people like your personality, they envy those things. They even start mimicking things about you. They start mimicking the way you laugh. They start mimicking your behaviors, your personality traits, and you will see it. And sometimes, right, when they're with the new supply, you'll start seeing their personality change again. And the narcissist will sit there and say that you're insecure, but you're clearly seeing that they have invoked a spirit of someone else. It's a spirit of someone else. And that's when you'll start having dreams. You'll dream about the person because they're carrying on that other person's energy. So the only way the narcissist ego will be boosted, the reason they need they need you to feed their ego so bad, is so that they can feel like a real person. So they're living through other people and how people view them. So if you're in a relationship with them and their family don't like you, or their family starts making fun of you, or they say something about something you're wearing, if they have a narcissistic mother and the mother says something about your outfit or whatever the case is, that's going to hurt the narcissist's ego. The narcissist will go and gaslight you. They'll do things to you and then go tell their family that you're doing these things to them. And now when these people start talking bad about you and they're like, you know what, you can do better than her, even though the narcissist is lying and people are believing it. Now the fact that someone said you could do better than her, that just fed the narcissist's ego. And because it's fed the narcissist's ego, they're evil. They're feeding their ego. They're evil. So once that evil is fed, now that evil mind is thinking, this person said I could do better than them. This person said this. They're not thinking of the bad things that they're doing. They're not thinking of the lies they just told on you. They're thinking, this person just fed my ego. They said I could do better than you, which means that you're not that great of a person. So it's like they're not looking at you for who you really are. Now they're looking at you through the lenses of strangers. So that lets you know, not only do they need their egos fed, but they care about what people think. And then they come off to you like they don't care about what people think. But that lets you know that part of their ego is living through people, because you care about what people think about your partner. You let how people perceive your partner be an identification of how you're gonna treat them, instead of defending your partner and fighting for what's right, or fighting for your partner, because you only know your partner on a personal level that nobody else knows, right? So it's showing you that they don't even respect anything you've ever done for them, or your kindness or anything. So why is someone so desperate for you to feed their ego if they could care less about you, if they feel like you're nothing? Why is it so important to even feed their ego even then, when everything in them is telling them to run away from you? Why are they so desperate to still stick around? Because a part of them knows that their ego is from a place of fantasy. But they also feel like it's either I live in reality or fantasy. And if I live in reality, I'm not going to make it. Fantasy gives me a way to escape. It gives me a way to get away with things and do the things that are not normal, or go against society's rules. And it gives me an outlet, because guess what? People do bad things all the time. And now they're comparing their ego, they're comparing their ego, their evil, to other narcissists and other narcissists that they might admire or look up to based on how they're living their life. And the narcissist now, their ego becomes so delusional that they feel like, I could be that guy, I could be that girl, I could do all these horrible things to people and still get my way. And they don't know that some of those people, they're not really horrible to those people, because you can't believe what you see on social media, but they're looking at, hey, your typical artist, music artist, and they're like, oh, this is how they live, this is how I'm gonna live, this is how I'm gonna treat people based off of what I hear in this, and when I listen to this music. Like, you'll start to see the narcissist as someone who's not a real person. You'll start seeing them as someone who's like almost robotic, or like some type of like superficial intelligence almost, because it's like they're not dumb. Some of them are even smart, like the narcissist I was with, he was a musician. So to me, I think a lot of my admiration for him was his artistry, and I looked up to him because of that. Just his way of being able to memorize things, right, word by word. And that's why when they're playing dumb and crazy with you, they're playing dumb with you, because they remember things word by word. So how could you be oblivious, right? So they're getting off on this behavior, on the fact that they can even fool you to keep forgiving them. So you're feeding their ego every time you forgive them. And this is why every time you forgive them, they'll treat you worse, because they look at it like, how could you be so dumb to forgive someone like me with so much hate, so much evil? How can you defend an evil person? And if you're not standing up for what's right, then you're helping a serial killer get away with what he's doing, because eventually the more they feel like the less chances they should be able to have to even come into your world, so that's what it's doing. It's literally fueling their evil. And this is why I noticed, like, everywhere, from friendships to family, people really don't like me, because to me, right is right and wrong is wrong. And if you're my family, friend, whoever it is, when you're wrong, I'm gonna tell you you're wrong. If you choose to be mad at me, I'm gonna tell you, hey, you could be upset, but look, I don't want you to be upset. I just want you to understand my point of view on this and why it's wrong. You should be more compassionate, because when you go through things, you want people to be compassionate with you, right? Or or don't judge that person and jump into conclusions, because you don't know that person's side of the story. So if you can't understand that and you get mad at the truth, that right there is an automatic red flag that chances are you're dealing with a narcissist, because their ego is so inflated that they don't even want to be wrong, even when you tell them the truth. They don't want you to feel intelligent in any kind of way, because in their mind, they're the smart ones, you're the dumb ones. So anything that, everybody can learn from one another, but the narcissist feels like they know everything. And the things that you teach them, they'll just act like they always knew those things, because to them, they have to protect their ego. So they might not know something, and you might give them that information, and then they're going to act like even though they made a big deal out of it, trying to argue and debate with you. Now they'll pass on that information to someone, and you're like, yeah, remember when I told you that? And they'll act like, no, I don't remember that, I always knew that. They'll act like so oblivious, and you'll think to yourself, this person can't be that dumb. They know that I told them that. They even fought with me. If I remember, they gotta remember. The narcissist will play dumb, because it's all about their intelligence, their ego. Growing up, I told you I was raised in the church, and I was used as a kid to get attention from other people. I was used as a tool, like celebrity kids. I was used as a tool, and then when I wasn't that golden child, or that I wasn't that cute little kid anymore, preaching and doing things, and now I'm getting older, and now they're like, oh, throw her with the rest of the kids, and she's just another number, right? Just using you while you're young because it's giving them attention. Meanwhile, you're thinking to yourself, you got this strong faith in God, and you're thinking you're around godly people, and then you start seeing that you're not bringing them the type of attention, or you might not want to go to church anymore like you used to. Now you're a teenager, you want to be around your friends, you're changing, and now you see that now they're bashing you, they're treating you bad. You brought them up to a place where the whole community knows them, where they've received lots of certificates, where they have all this clout off of you, and now they're acting like you ain't shit because you're no longer feeding their ego, because now you know them on a personal level, and you know that everything that they preach, they don't live by that. So you're calling them out on the behaviors that they're doing at home. And even at home, you're like, hey, do people from the church know you acting like this? Are you saying this? Or you're judging people? Are you gossiping about them? Do they know that? And when you see them for who they are, now guess what? You're not feeding their ego no more. You're public enemy number one now. So you'll notice that everywhere you go, just like you can see the evil in narcissists, they can see the good in your eyes. They could tell right away you're a good person. They'll start talking to you, and they'll see that you might be charismatic, or you're someone that doesn't judge. You'll talk to them, you'll feel them, you'll give them energy, and they could tell right away. And what you won't know until that person is gone and your energy feels depleted, you'll realize that you weren't talking to an empath. You were talking to a narcissist, and they were telling you half truths, all because they saw your eyes, they saw you were a good person, and to them it was, I need my ego inflated, and I know if I tell the truth, this person might be able to see through me. So they might even use other people experiences to talk about their own, but make it seem like they're not trying to get advice for themselves. And once you've been around a narcissist long enough, you know that that's what they do when you run across, the typical narcissist. So yeah, when you're dealing with a narcissist, you have to feed their ego. I remember telling the narcissist about my boss, different businesses that my boss had at the time, right? This was, years ago, but at the time, this boss I had, he had a lot going on, and I was like, I look up to people that been through stuff, through the struggle, and they made it out. You know what I'm saying? Because they make it look easy, but it's not easy. So I admire people like that. So I remember the narcissist saying, how come you don't talk about, I'm just making conversation just like he makes conversation about people, women that he works with, or people, right, in general. He makes conversations, and I don't show jealousy. And when I do show jealousy, it's because you've said something to me that threw me off. I'm not looking at my boss with hearts in my eyes, right? I'm just saying I look up to people, man or woman, right? The narcissist is like, oh, how come you don't act like that when it comes to my music and my goals? And I'm like, all I've ever done is support you. What are you talking about? He's like, but you don't talk about me like that. I'm like, I talk about you like that. I support you. Now, if I'm talking to someone else, I'm going to be like, oh, my dude is a great artist. He does this, he does that. He has good memory. I'm going to pump you up the same way. But you're jealous, you're envious because you flirt with your coworkers. So they're exposing themselves when they say things to you, because you know that it's not in you. You don't need your ego inflated by your boss or anybody. That doesn't move you when you really are in love with someone and you are loyal to them, right? So that'll make you have red flags, because you'll think to yourself, like, I'm not like that, but maybe you're like that. Right? I always give you advice or pump you up, but you don't do the same for me. If anything, just how you're displaying jealousy towards my boss, you display jealousy towards me, towards everybody, really. always talking crap, or you always feel like everyone has stuff handed to them, and when people hand you stuff or are nice to you, when the empath is nice, you don't even appreciate it. You look at people like they're just tools and you're using them, and it feeds your ego. So I realized, like, this person wanted me to inflate their ego so bad that I couldn't even talk about someone else, but they have the right to talk about the opposite sex. They have the right to talk about the same sex. Everyone is obsessed with them, and nothing is ever good enough for the narcissist, because all they do is expose themselves. That, it doesn't matter how much you support them, it doesn't satisfy their ego, because the moment you're talking about someone else and what they're doing, they become jealous. Now they become revengeful. They're ready to do something to you. They're ready to justify their cheating, because now they're assuming you're cheating because you're speaking positive about another human being, and now they're competing with you. And now they're doing the things that they wanted to do, and they're just using these things as tools to justify their actions, to fuel their ego, because now they feel like, okay, well, I'm going to go get with someone else who looks at me the way you look at your boss. Which is wild, which is really insane. It's crazy almost. But that's what they will do. And it's because they need their ego inflated. They need their evil and they need their evil to be fueled, their evil thoughts, their evil agendas to be fueled by the people they know don't even know their plan. They need their evil plan. They need you to fuel it and spark that shit up. They need you to feel it. But at the same time, they're like, I can't let you know that you're the only source that can light this bitch up. Because if I let you know I'm only using you for that, you're not going to want to light it up, and I'm not going to get nowhere with this. That's why they got to constantly make you feel like other people want them. Other people are checking for them. Their exes still want them. They were this great guy that got used or played or manipulated by someone, and they're a great person. So if you don't stand in line, if you lose the narcissist, you'll be losing a good thing. It's you who did it, because he said he was a good guy, and you're trying to make him look like a bad person. That's fueling their ego. The more you're sitting there like, you're lying, you're this, you're that, you're a manipulator. It's fueling them. It's like, if I'm all these things, why are you with me? Look, they want to show that new supply that you're insane. They want to show people that you have problems, that you have mental problems, that you're everything that they are, that's you. And all it does is, like I said, it fuels their ego, their evil. And now, to others, you're not credible, because they're like, hey, well, why did you stay around if this person was so bad? It's because that person is so desperate to have their fucking ego inflated that they would rather be with people they don't want to be with, just to feel like they're something. Because if they're by themselves long enough, they have to look in the mirror, and they don't want to look in the mirror, and that's really sad. So you'll see that most narcissists, they're never alone. They always got people in the community. They're always in groups. They're always, getting close with their neighbors, with strangers. They always make sure they got people around to fuel their evil, their ego, and tell half truth and half stories, and talk about their past life, and always leave out the most important pieces of who they are, which is evil. Their ego. They're never going to let you know who they are to their core. They're going to talk about how they change, how this or that. But who they are to their core, they've already showed you that. They've already showed you the evil they have to their core. So you really don't have nothing to worry about when they go and try to make it seem like they got this fresh start. Because at the end of the day, You are who you are based on what you've done. And when you think about what you've done as an empath, and you think about everything you've done in your life determines who you are. And when you think about the bad things and the good things, you know that everything you've ever done has came from a place of good. And you might have fell and stumbled across certain things that you probably wish you would have never stumbled across, but you also know that the reason you got to that point is for love. It wasn't because of your ego. It was because you didn't listen to your ego. You were selfless with the narcissist. You didn't need no one to give you anything. You were full of life. You were full of love. You know what I'm saying? So anything you know that anything that you did it for love. So when people, ask you, "Oh, why'd you stay for so long?" Always remember, I stayed because the narcissist needed their ego desperately inflated that they would not let me go. They could have hated me, but they just couldn't let me go because they needed me to feel their ego like their life depended. That was their lifeline. They're nobody when they're by themselves. They feel like they ain't shit. That's how desperate they are. That they will stick around with people, attach themselves to people because they're afraid of themselves. So they want to keep living in fantasy. So I hope that this message, you guys, was helpful. I'm sending you guys lots of love. Don't forget to like, share, comment. We're almost to 5K subscribers. So if you guys have not subscribed up until this point, don't forget to subscribe. You guys show some love. You guys know my booking information is on the description. As always, I'm sending you guys lots of love, light, peace, and your healing. And I will talk to you guys on the next one. Bye.